all the latest military news update. This is AFP Community News, hosted by Rob Suzon every 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. Only here on DWDD Armed Forces Radio. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Four BIFF rebels surrender in Maguindanao del Sur. Philippine Navy boosts maritime patrols in western Mindanao. And Toll hike takes effect on March 2. COMELEC aims to finish ballot printing by March 10.
Good day everyone, especially to our troops at Camp Emilio Aguinaldo in Quezon City. Today is Friday, February 28, and this is AFP Community News, your source of the updates on the armed forces and other developments across the country. In behalf of Ralph Suzon, this is Jai Simbahon, here to bring you today's stories.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And four former members of the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters Karayalan faction surrendered along with their firearms at the 1st Mechanized Infantry Battalion Headquarters in Barangay Midtimbang, Datuadin, Maguindanao del Sur yesterday. The surrenderers were identified as Datu Salik, Bukas Gandol, Nasruddin Piang, and Matik Baganianan. Their decision to return to the folds of the law was facilitated by local government efforts and military operations aimed at peace and stability in the region. BM Bobby Midtimbang provided initial assistance to the former rebels as part of the government's reintegration program. Authorities emphasized that the surrender highlights the ongoing success of peace efforts in Maguindanao del Sur and urged other rebels to lay down their arms and join the path of lasting peace.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And the Naval Forces Western Mindanao has intensified maritime security operations within its jurisdiction through enhanced maritime and sovereignty patrols. Using the BRP Ramon Alcaraz PS-16, the Philippine Navy patrolled key waters around Sibuto, Sikalangkalong, and Bungao Islands in Tawi-Tawi to ensure the safety of commercial vessels and Filipino fishermen. The operation included aerial surveillance by the NH-434 naval helicopter, providing real-time monitoring and intelligence updates. Continuous communication with naval monitoring stations in Bungao and Taganak ensured coordinated security efforts. The Naval Forces Western Mindanao emphasized that these patrols strengthen maritime stability, protect national sovereignty, and secure maritime commerce.
DWDD Armed Forces News. Armed Forces Radio.
More updates from Shai about Armed Forces of the Philippines. Boost counterintelligence amid Chinese spy probe. Shai?
Yes, good afternoon. The Armed Forces of the Philippines is upgrading its counterintelligence capabilities as it investigates alleged Chinese espionage activities linked to foreign intelligence agencies. AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla said that the military is enhancing encrypted communications, mobile network security, and deploying IMSI capture devices to detect and authorize surveillance. The National Bureau of Investigation and Military Intelligence recently arrested 2 Chinese nationals and 3 Filipinos using an IMSI catcher near sensitive sites, including the Presidential Palace and military camps. The AFP is now assessing connections between this arrest and previous espionage-related cases. This is Shai Rivera reporting for AFP Community News. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Shai.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
The military and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front reinforced their ties and communication during a peace forum in Talayan, Maguindanao del Sur yesterday. Colonel Edgar L. Cato of the 601st Brigade emphasized the forum's importance in fostering a safer and more peaceful community. Military and MILF leaders, along with local officials, attended the event to discuss cooperation and conflict resolution. Moreover, Brigadier General Donald M. Gumiran of the 6th Infantry Division urged continued collaboration to ensure regional security and development.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And troops of the 82nd Infantry Battalion neutralized a communist terrorist group remnant and seized high-powered firearms clashed in Tapas, Capiz. The 5-minute firefight erupted when soldiers responded to reports of at least 7 new People's Army rebels in the area. The insurgents fled north, leaving behind a slain comrade, firearms, ammunition, and other war materials. Brigadier General Michael Samson of the 3rd Infantry Division urged remaining CTG members to surrender and avail of the government's reintegration program for a peaceful return to society.
DWDD Armed Forces News. Armed Forces Radio.
Let us hear more from Melzoy of the 1st Civil Relations Group about youth leaders show waves of support to territorial integrity and sovereignty during WPS Summit. Melzoy?
Yes, good afternoon. Hundreds of youth have come together to take a stand on the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity on the West Philippine Sea during the WPS Summit, currently conducting by the city government of San Fernando, La Union, in partnership with the Northern Luzon Command Armed Forces of the Philippines, under the leadership of Lieutenant General Fernil G. Buca, Philippine Air Force, through the 1st Civil Relations Group CRS AFP, and in collaboration with Naval Forces Northern Luzon and the 4th Marine Brigade today, February 28, 2025, at Naval Station Ernesto Ogbinar Gymnasium, City of San Fernando. The advocacy, dubbed as Making Waves, Youth Leaders Unite at the West Philippine Sea Summit, will be featuring keynote speakers and panel discussions, which aims to engage and empower the youth on critical issues surrounding the West Philippine Sea, encompassing its geopolitical and environmental significance, the implication of the 2016 arbitral ruling, and the urgent need for sustainable advocacy. Present in the said activity is the former Associate Justice and the Supreme Court of the Philippines, retired Justice Antonio C. Carpio, Philippine Navy's spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent T. Trinidad, Philippine Navy, legal officer in the University of the Philippines Institute for the Maritime Affairs and Law of the Sea, Attorney Maria Isabel R. Canaveral, analyst in Double Think Club, Ms. Janina Jillian O. Santos, and the President of Youth Empowerment Society for the West Philippine Sea, Ms. Jayanel Charis H. Enriquez, that will discuss different key topics to further enlighten the youth on their role in the fight for the West Philippine Sea. Northern Luzon Command stands firm in its commitment in upholding the country's territory and sovereignty, continuing to perform its mandate as defenders of the North, ensuring the security and stability of Northern Luzon and protecting its territorial integrity. This is Meljoy Nesho Arroco reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Melzoy.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And hundreds of former Moro Islamic Liberation Front and Moro National Liberation Front combatants received vital government services during the Inter-Cabinet Cluster Mechanism for Normalization Caravan in Lamitan City, Basilan. At least 24 government agencies, including 6 ministries from Bangsamoro region, provided medical aid, agricultural supplies, civil registration, and amnesty applications. OPA Pro Secretary Carlito Galvez reaffirmed the government's commitment to normalization, while Basilan Governor Jim Saliman emphasized collective efforts in sustaining peace. The initiative supports former combatants' reintegration into society, promoting long-term stability in the Bangsamoro region.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And for our national news,
DWDD National News.
motorists using the North Luzon Expressway will face higher toll fees starting March 2 after the Toll Regulatory Board approved a rate adjustment. Under the new toll matrix, Class 1 vehicles will pay an additional 5 pesos in the open system, while Class 2 and Class 3 Vehicles will pay 13 pesos and 15 pesos respectively. Those traveling the full NLEX stretch from Metro Manila to Mabalacat City will see increases of 57 pesos for Class 1, 142 for Class 2, and 171 pesos for Class 3. The adjustment includes a scheduled 2023 increase and funding for the 7.7 billion pesos Candaba Third Viaduct completed in 2024.
DWDD National News. Armed Forces Radio.
From Northern Luzon Command, let us hear some information from Joanne about former rebels and government agencies conduct localized peace engagement. Joanne?
A group of former rebels from the Cagayan Alliance for Peace and Development, or CAPD, and various government agencies held a localized peace engagement in the towns of Alcala and Solana, Cagayan. According to Risa D., a member of CAPD and Kindling Action Peace Process and Inclusive Advocacies Incorporated Cagayan, the program aimed to raise awareness among citizens about negative effects of joining rebel groups. The initiative seeks to prevent others from being recruited into the movement and maintain peace and order in the province following Cagayan's declaration as insurgency-free. The program also discussed projects that can provide livelihood opportunities through the Sambayanan Agriculture Cooperative. Assistant Regional Director Ray Adatu of the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency talked about the transformational programs of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-LCAC, for rebels who wish to return to the government. The peace engagement received a positive response from nearly 1,000 participants from the villages of Bangag and Sampaguita, Solana, and Cabuluan, Alcala. Similar peace engagement will continue in the other areas in the coming days. This is John Sagauk reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Joanne.
DWDD National News.
And the Commission on Elections aim to complete ballot printing by March 10. COMELEC Chairperson George Erwin Garcia announced that so far, 50 million ballots, about 70% of the 72 million needed, have been printed for the midterm elections. Delays occurred due to Supreme Court issued temporary restraining orders regarding nuisance candidates, forcing poll body to discard printed materials worth 132 million pesos. Printing resumed last January 27 with the National Printing Office assisting South Korean provider Miru to meet the April 14 deadline.
DWDD National News.
And the Commission on Elections has postponed implementing rules and regulating election surveys for the May 2025 polls to consider stakeholder recommendations. According to Commissioner Ray Bulay, COMELEC Resolution number 11117, which mandates surveys of firms to register and submit reports, will undergo revisions following consultations with survey organizations. A supplemental resolution may be issued within 2 weeks. Meanwhile, COMELEC Chairperson George Erwin Garcia confirmed that candidates have voluntarily removed illegal campaign materials after receiving notices, avoiding potential election offenses and disqualification cases.
DWDD National News. Armed Forces Radio.
More updates from Beth about OCA's AAI Chairperson. CG PAF strengthened ties in a courtesy call. Beth?
Major General Ramon P. Sagala, chairperson of the Officer Candidates School Alumni Association Incorporated, the OCSAAI, met with the Major General Aristotle D. Gonzales, Acting Commanding General of the Philippine Air Force at Villamor Air Base, Pasay City. They discussed a strategy to enhance OCSAAI's network and member engagement. The activity emphasized initiatives for national security and military development. The Philippine Air Force reaffirmed its full support for OCSAAI's mission to foster unity and progress in the country's defense sector. This is Beth Tanyete reporting for the EFP Community News, 1 EFP for the Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Beth Tanyete. And the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines has backed down from guaranteeing a power outage-free summer despite the Department of Energy's assurance of stable supply. While DOE expects over 4,000 megawatts of new generation capacity to prevent yellow and red alerts, NGCP's Central Grid Operations Manager Vincent Bernabe warned that the unplanned forced outage similar to last year could still occur. The NGCP noted that no one can predict which power plants may suffer emergency shutdowns. He recalled the massive blackout in Panay Island last year that caused 3.8 billion pesos in economic losses.
DWDD National News.
And the Department of Social Welfare and Development Secretary Rex Gatchalian assured that the Ayuda para sa Kapos ang Kita program will have stricter safety protocols and remain transparent under its proposed guidelines. In collaboration with the Department of Labor and Employment and the National Economic Development Authority, the DSWD strengthened ACAP rules to prevent fund misuse. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. allowed the program's rollout after approving updated guidelines that prohibit political candidates from involvement and require public disclosure of beneficiaries. Gatchalian expressed confidence that the revised guidelines will gain final approval, reinforcing public trust.
DWDD National News. Armed Forces Radio.
And now let us hear more updates from Spencer about former rebels surrendered to authorities in Samar. Spencer?
Yes, Jai. A former communist rebel voluntarily surrendered to government forces in Barangay Barayong, Mochong, Samar through the efforts of the 87th Infantry Battalion. Alias Raymond, at 25, decided to surrender due to the government's continuous efforts to encourage rebels to return to society and benefit from government programs. Authorities provided him with psychosocial counseling and debriefing, and he is said to be enrolled in the local social integration program and enhanced comprehensive local integration program. The military continues to urge active rebels to surrender, cooperate with the authorities, and embrace a peaceful and reformed life with their families. This is Spencer, reporting for AFP Community News, One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Spencer.
DWDD National News.
And the palace official called for amendments to the SIM card Registration Act, emphasizing the need for in-person registration. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro said SIM card registration should follow the same process as obtaining a driver's license or NBI clearance to prevent scams and identity fraud. The law, signed in 2022, aims to combat tax and online scams by mandating SIM registration. However, the National Telecommunications Commission admitted in 2024 that the law still faces implementation challenges and is a not silver bullet against messaging scams.
DWDD National News.
And the Bureau of Customs reported a sharp 70% drop in rice tariff collections for January, reaching only 1.43 billion pesos compared to 4.74 billion pesos in the same month last year. The decline is attributed to lower rice imports, which fell to 330,501 metric tons from 474,194 metric tons in January 2024. The surplus from last year's record high imports of 4.8 million metric tons contributed to reduced demands for new shipments. Despite last year's record 34 billion pesos tariff collection, the government warns the lower revenues may impact funding for Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, which supports local farmers.
DWDD National News. Armed Forces Radio.
On the other line, let us hear more from Ferdy about Army Chief highlights a reservist role in defending Philippine territory. Ferdy?
Good day, everyone. Philippine Army Commanding General Lieutenant General Roy Galido emphasized the crucial role of reservists in defending the country's territory. He stated that in times of national defense, it is the duty of the entire community to stand with the armed forces of the Philippines. The military ensures that reservists are well trained and prepared for territorial defense. Lieutenant General Galido encouraged Filipinos to become active reservists as a demonstration of patriotism and readiness to protect the nation. This is Ferdy Blues reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Ferdy.
DWDD National News.
And authorities rescued 14 human trafficking victims, including 8 minors in Zamboanga City before they could be smuggled to Malaysia. The Zamboanga Sea-based anti-trafficking task force arrested 2 suspects, one of whom is a known trafficker. Investigators revealed that the victims were promised high-paying jobs in Malaysia and were given fake documents. The victims received assistance from the Department of Social Welfare and Development for their safe return home.
DWDD National News.
And authorities arrested 2 suspected members of a gun-for-hire group during an operation in Arayat, Pampanga. The Philippine National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group identified the suspects as Antonio Cerbeto, wanted for usurpation of authority, illegal possession of firearms, and drug-related charges, and Ariel Oreño, facing charges for illegal possession of firearms and explosives. CIDG Director Police Major General Nicolas Torres III said CIDG Regional Field Unit 3, in coordination with the Philippine Army, led the successful operation. Seized from the suspects were high-powered firearms, ammunition, explosives, and military and police uniforms.
DWDD National News. Armed Forces Radio.
And now let us hear our reporter on the ground about Philippine Army uses soft hand strategy to convince insurgents to surrender. Go on for the details, Leonor.
Good day everyone. The 301st Infantry Brigade is actively persuading remaining insurgents to surrender through a soft-hand approach focusing on peaceful reintegration rather than combat. Colonel Nel Richard Patricio said troops are engaging with rebels, families to encourage them to lay down their arms. He noted that around 25 insurgents remain in the mountains, many suffering from hunger, with some showing signs of surrender. Brigadier General Michael Samson of the 3rd Infantry Division affirmed that military operations aim to pressure rebels to return to society rather than take lives. This is Leonor Tanap reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Leonor.
DWDD National News.
And for our final news, the Philippines will stay storm-free until the first week of March. According to Pag-asa, despite the presence of weather systems like the shear line, northeast monsoon, and easterlies, no tropical cyclones or low-pressure areas are being monitored inside or outside the Philippine area of responsibility. So far in 2025, no typhoons have formed or entered the country. The Weather Bureau earlier forecasted a 0 to 1 chance of a tropical cyclone developing in February.
DWDD National News.
And that concludes today's broadcast. Thank you for tuning in, especially to our audience on AFP Radio DWDD's Facebook page. Be sure to join and catch us again next week for more stories and updates, same time, same station. Once again, this is Joyce Imbaon for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for a Stronger Philippines.
Mga katropa, alam mo ba na ang DWDD 1134 kHz AFP Radio ay ang opisyal na radio station ng Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas na binubuo ng Army,